In this episode, we're going to replace the hard drive as well as upgrade the RAM in this late 2005 iMac G5 20-inch with iSight. While we have the unit open, we'll go ahead and clean it out to get any dust out of the inside of the computer, as well as replace the thermal paste on the processor. Thanks for tuning in. And just to show you the computer we're working on, this is indeed a 2.1 gigahertz PowerPC G5 iMac. Currently the system is configured with 2.5 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM. Before we open up the computer, I want to show you about this Mac, showing it's powered by a 2.1 gigahertz PowerPC G5 processor. The computer currently is configured with 2.5 gigabytes of DDR2 memory. We're going to go ahead and upgrade that. Technically, this computer is at the maximum amount of RAM that is supported by this computer according to Apple. However, doing some research on the Mac Rumors forum, this computer is supposed to be able to actually accept an additional 4 gigabyte RAM module to replace the current 2 gigabyte RAM module that's installed in the computer. There's only one available RAM slot. There's 512 megabytes of RAM that's soldered onto the logic board directly from the factory. Hitting for more information, System Profiler confirms, again, the 2.1 gigahertz processor, currently 2.5 gigabytes of RAM, and this unit has a 700 megahertz front side bus. For graphics, we have an ATI Radeon X600 XT with 128 megabytes of video RAM. It's worth pointing out that in this iMac G5, the iSight models, both the 20-inch as well as the 17-inch, these were the only PowerPC based iMac G5s that actually used a PCI Express video card. Previous models, of course, used AGP graphics for their video card, so that's something that's unique about this last gen iMac G5. Memory, again, you see built in 512 megabytes of RAM. Currently, there's a single 2 gigabyte stick that's installed. We're going to go ahead and upgrade that to a 4 gigabyte stick for hopefully a total of 4.5 gigabytes. And last but not least, our current hard drive. There's a Western Digital 256 gigabyte, showing an available capacity of 232 gigabytes. We're going to go ahead and swap that out for a 250 gigabyte SSD drive from OWC. So should give us a nice boost in performance, even though it'll be roughly the same capacity. So let's go ahead and power off the computer. All right, we've waited enough. About 15-20 minutes later, I'm gonna go ahead and remove keyboard and mouse. And to help prevent any scuffs from occurring on the front of the computer, just going to put down a soft towel here and lay the iMac down, and we'll start the process of disassembling for the computer. All right, let's go ahead and begin by removing the RAM slot cover. It's held in place by some Phillips, it's a PH1 size screw, and this can actually be a little bit easier by removing with the iMac upright and the screen pointed back. Okay, the cover out of the way. There are two tabs here. We're going to go ahead and pull those back, and that ejects the existing RAM module. It's in the computer. Again, a 2 gigabyte, actually OWC, so very good memory RAM. But that's going out of the way for our 4 gigabyte module instead. All right, with the RAM slot removed, we're going to go ahead and exchange our Phillips head tip for a Torx T8. And there are a total of 3 Torx T8 screws here on the bottom of the iMac. We're going to go ahead and remove them and put them on the side. One here in the middle, right above our exposed RAM slot. And again, a third screw here down at the very end, right below our I/O ports. All right, screws have been removed. Okay, with the screws removed, we should be able to gently lift up the bottom of the case. And yep, you see it's starting to separate. Before we go any further though, I'm going to stand the iMac up, and there are latches hidden inside of here that we need to pop off so the front screen can be removed from the computer. Okay, our iMac is back upright, and like I said, we go ahead and remove the latches that are along this vent at the top. It's recommended to use a old debit or credit card. I'm going to use this gift card. It no longer has any money on it, so if it gets destroyed in the process, so be it. Our reward will be getting access to the interior of our iMac. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try and pop these clips. Making progress here. Okay, just wanted to zoom in here and show you. I finally got the upper left-hand latch to release. As you can see there, have separation with the case. Did take a little bit of effort with the card. Again, this is why you want to use a card that is disposable, because pretty sure this was my debit or credit card. Probably not going to work anymore after this, but definitely took some effort, and I had to kind of use the corner here to get all the way up and release this latch. That seems to be somewhere right in here in the iMac, so it did take a little bit of pressure here. Did that off camera, but got that side to release, and we'll go ahead and try this corner now. It's helpful to kind of, for counterbalance, to hold on to the back of the iMac here. Kind of keep your hands off the actual bezel so we're not pushing it back in place. Oh, there we go. Hopefully you heard that. Upper latches lifted as well. So let's go ahead. I'll spin this around and we should be able to take off the display. Showing you real quick here on the side, you can see the separation of the outer bezel from the back part of the case. And we're just going to kind of gently separate it. And there is a cable here on the top for the iSight camera, so we're going to be careful not to damage that connection. Okay, for the time being, couldn't find an easy way to disconnect. I'm assuming one of these is for the microphone, one of them should be for the iSight camera, so I just have the front bezel propped up against the wall here. There's not pressure on these cords, don't want to risk breaking anything off. Connectors on this little piece of circuitry board here appear to be glued fast, so I don't want to mess with those. We're going to go ahead with continuing the disassembly process here, and might need to cross the bridge when we get there. So for right now, we're going to remove this lower EM shielding here from the machine. I think I'll use this guy to help peel it off without hopefully tearing it. There we go. Got it started. Just a light adhesive kind of sticking this on, and of course this has been baked on by many years of use. To my knowledge, this is the first time this iMac has been opened, at least by me anyways. Previous owner possibly. Do know that the RAM was upgraded by that OWC memory stick, but everything else, to my knowledge, has remained sealed up until here we are in 2021. This EMI tape or shielding does run all the way along even the edge of the computer here. Again, finding this tool very helpful in just kind of loosening up the this black EMI shield all the way around the unit here, just kind of slowly working it through and using my fingers to peel it back. There we go. Just to show you here with this black on the side here, this EMI shield removed. You can see there is separation now between the case, so just kind of work that all the way along the side. Of course, this here is loose. Now I just need to finish removing the strip, black EMI strip here on the side. So you got most of it, still some parts here, and just kind of, again, takes patience. Okay, so we got the rest of this tape shield removed, and we'll go ahead and continue the disassembly process. Seeing the inside is definitely due for a good cleaning. There's certainly a lot of dirt and dust inside the computer. Too bad here, a little bit in the heat sink. So go ahead, set the camera back down, and it is recommended to use a small piece of tape here. Just kind of keep this thing folded back out of the way. Just lightly attach on the display. Try not to leave as little tape residue on the screen as possible, and we'll continue the disassembly here. There are two T6 Torx screws that are securing the display data cable to the logic board. One here, so we go ahead and remove them. Just need to find the right tip. It is probably advisable to be using a magnetic tip so you don't lose these screws inside of the iMac. Okay, to disconnect this, use this tab. Gently pull to disconnect it. There we go. And there should be a total of 4 recessed T10 Torx screws that are securing the display to the case. And I believe I see one should be in here. And on all 4 corners here. I have to remove some more of this foil to get access. Nope, I think one, yep, there's one in here. There should be one in here as well. Okay, with those 4 T10 Torx screws removed, we're going to continue the disassembly process. The screen should now lift up. Again, seeing it forward, and there are some cables here that we need to disconnect. Here we go. Yep, here we go. Got that one broke loose. Go ahead and stand the display just about straight up. And there's additional inverter connections here. Gonna remove those as well. It's a little bit easier getting these without having to bounce the whole display. And there we go. That was a little bit easier. So you can see we got both sets of inverter cables disconnected. This gives you a good look at the inside of our 20-inch iMac G5. All right, just to show you, I went ahead and dusted out the inside here of the iMac's case, and these fans, a lot cleaner. Got a lot of dust, a lot of debris blown out of the computer here. So now that's clean, let's go ahead and finish removing the hard drive, which there's a thermal sensor here. Disconnect that from the logic board. It's currently mounted on the side of our hard drive. There we go, got that loose. And there's 2 Torx, I believe they're a T10 bit here. It's kind of holding down the hard drive in place. Go ahead and remove them. Okay, and with those screws removed, we should be able to lift up the hard drive. like loose here. And going to disconnect the power and SATA cables from the edge of the hard drive. And there we go. It's worth pointing out that these screws here are T8 Torx. Easily removed. Now for the side here, I'm going to grab a spudger here and just going to gently pry. Hopefully get this thermal sensor off without busting it. Here we go. Takes a little bit of coercing. See, there's remnants of this adhesive, this tape. Move that to the side. We'll try to reuse that piece. So again, here's our old hard drive, and just for size comparison, here's the new SSD drive. So just a little bit smaller. Now, because of the smaller SSD size, we have a hard time fitting this in the iMac. Just kind of slide around there. So to remedy that, I have this newer tech adaptive drive, which will allow our SSD to fit into a computer requiring a 3.5-inch hard drive. Okay, so with our adaptive drive, I'm going to go ahead and insert the SSD into the adapter. So it just kind of clicks on board there. We'll go ahead and screw this fast. Fortunately, they provide you with some very small screws to secure the SSD. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall this bracket. Yep, there we go. That's how it'll look. Those are again a T8 Torx. And see if I can't get these things started by hand. All right, there we go. Screw them on. Okay. Mount it's back on there. Forgot where we put our thermal sensor. That should be okay as long as we can get it to reach. Okay, I have the hard drive kind of mocked in here. This sensor is going to be a little far to reach. At least should be able to continue getting a reading. Let's go ahead and reconnect our power and SATA connections. Let's get that on there. Here's our sensor. We can plug that connector back into the logic board and screw this guy back in. Thankfully, iFixit has a very comprehensive guide for doing all these replacements. Saves a little bit of time not having to do as much trial and error, trying to make sure you have the right screw for every step of the way. See if we can't get that to reconnect now that we're done fiddling around with the hard drive. Again, it's just a very, very tight. Have that reach over there, but I think now we're done moving things. Hopefully we're good. It'd be nice to keep our thermal sensor intact if at all possible. All right, and there we have the iMac G5 with an OWC SSD drive. And at this point, I must confess I made a mistake. See, this is kind of laying down here, moves around. Forgot to take these pegs off the original hard drive, so we'll transfer those onto the side of our newer tech adaptive drive so this thing stays in place and doesn't move around. I don't think anything's going to break or be an issue here, but I'll feel better knowing that this thing is put back together the right way. So, in case you're wondering, these stands, these studs, whatever you want to call them, held on by a Torx T8, and they come out of here pretty easily. All right, and we can say goodbye to our old, barely functioning Western Digital hard drive, and do a little bit more reassembly before we finalize assembly. And, switch out back for our T10. Reconnect our thermal sensor, hopefully disconnect it for the last time. And let's go ahead and pop out our SATA connectors here. Okay. Here. Go ahead, switch backs for our T8 Torx bit. These studs here on our adapter drive. I gotta say that I really truly love NewerTech and OWC. They make a very just wonderful product for any of my Intel or PowerPC based Macs. I've used them for well over a decade, probably 2 decades now at this point, and always been very pleased with the quality of their products, and certainly work well for our purposes of upgrading these now vintage Macs. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back into the iMac G5. I'm just going to put a little, these inserted, lower this into place. Okay, definitely a better fit there. Doesn't move around anymore, so that's nice. Again, we'll switch back for the 10 size here. Reinstall these screws. Our second screw. Okay. And it's probably worth mentioning that could have continued on to put new thermal paste on the processor, and I think that's certainly something that should be done, and I would like to do that here. I think for today, we'll just make sure our hard drive works before we do any additional disassembly of the computer. So that might be a future subject for another video down the road, but for today, if we can get our new SSD installed and get Mac OS X reinstalled, as well as upgrade our RAM to a very impressive 4.5 gigabytes for this machine, I'll be happy. Okay, sensors installed, hard drive's not going anywhere. We'll continue reassembling the iMac G5 and try booting it up. Okay, let's go ahead and reconnect the inverter cables here, the top ones. Fortunately, they reconnect a lot easier than just pulling them out. Those are seated in there nicely. Let's go ahead and carefully lower our display down here, at least partially, so I can, hopefully you can see this on the camera, get these connected. Okay, got our cables reconnected. Let's go ahead and get our display down. I'm going to try and keep EMI shielding from being pulled under, so we can keep that in its place. Before we attach the bezel, one last step is these Torx T10 bits, which attach them. There's 4 of them. One was from here, here, there's one here, and one up here. Okay, with our display back in place, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the display adapter. So we'll snap that in place, and there's 2 screws here. Okay, display's connected. Go ahead and lift up on our tape. Okay. Time to attach the outer bezel. This should just kind of clip back into place. Let's go ahead and reinstall our upgraded RAM module. Okay, we're going to reattach our Torx screws. and we'll go ahead and reattach the RAM access panel. Alright, now that the iMac's fully reassembled, let's turn it on. Alright, we had success. Okay, we have video. And again, macOS 10 is not installed. We have an unformatted hard drive in here, so it's searching for the boot drive, and of course it cannot find it. So let's go ahead and insert our macOS 10 leopard install disk. Alright, macOS 10 installer. Let's go ahead and launch disk utility. Looking for a disk, and there it is. OWC Mercury. And let's go ahead and erase. Give it a name. Let's continue with our installer. Alright, we'll let the installer do its work. See you guys when the install process is complete. Okay everyone, so macOS 10 is officially installed on the iMac G5 20-inch iSight. Just to confirm, and you can see it's a 2.1 gigahertz PowerPC G5 processor, and look there, memory, 4.5 gigabytes of DDR2 SRAM. Let's go ahead and open up System Profiler. Again, the iMac G5 iSight, 4.5 gigabytes of RAM being recognized, and also see there are the OWC Mercury Electra 3G SSD drive is recognized, and what the computer is running on. On the graphics display, again, our ATI Radeon X600 XT PCI Express graphics. Interestingly, on memory, we see that it's running at the 4.5 gigabytes. But here, the RAM slot, it's not quite recognizing. I don't know if it's due to the larger capacity, the type of RAM that it is, but it shows empty, but it is definitely there. Profiler shows it, ran some applications, Xbench recognizes 4.5 gigabytes of RAM, but for whatever reason here in System Profiler, it appears that that RAM slot is empty, but again, clearly not the case, has the 4.5 gigabytes of RAM. So that's it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. In a future video, hope to show you guys some updated benchmark results for this computer now that it has an SSD drive, as well as the fact that it has 4.5 gigabytes of RAM. So more to come in a future episode. Thank you for tuning in.